Good afternoon. Happy Friday. Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to Living Waters, falling deeper in love with God's Word. I'm Lauren Cruz.
And I'm Stephanie Pavlantos. Shabbat Shalom. Thanks for joining us.
We are continuing, but I've had an idea while we were waiting. Stephanie and I were having a little conversation. We were sliding in a little late tonight, but we both admire, I enjoy TikTok. I take it with a grain of salt. I look at who I'm listening to and kind of look at all as much as I can. A lot of them are Torah observant. Some of them are Christian pastors who have kind of started diving into some other information, which I think is good. There's even a Black gentleman. I want to say he's from Africa, and his name is Ian. And he's so smart, and he's not Torah observant, but boy, he can study the Bible. So I enjoy that. But I had an idea, Stephanie. I think we need to reach out to some of these women, especially that are teaching, and there's got to be something we can all do together, right? There's got to be a way for us to collaborate or something.
Yeah, I agree. And when I was doing that live that I told you about, I did a live YouTube with a guy I met on TikTok. Actually, I don't take that the wrong way. I started following him on TikTok, and then it turns out that he lives not too far from me, and he showed up at our congregation one afternoon. Yeah, so and he and his wife and kids, and so they all came. So after that, he's always he had me on his show, and I've been on his show for twice now. So anyway, he was so complimentary and it's so kind, but he's like, hey, you guys need to follow. And then there were these other women, he was mentioning women that he respects that have on TikTok, and he goes, you need to collaborate with some of these women. So, so I had a couple of women reach, yeah, we do. And so it was kind of fun to find out who else is out there kind of doing what you and I are doing. But we need to reach out and plan something else, like a YouTube live.
Something. So, I know. Even guests here on the Lamb, but definitely YouTube live. And I know you can do lives on TikTok as well, and take advantage of some of that social media, because I think as love it or hate it, technology is, and social media isn't going anywhere. It's probably just going to continue to grow. But we have such access to just such a wealth of information. And I really think that it's kind of that grassroots movement of Torah observant thinking. We didn't realize we were all out here, and now we're like, oh my God, we're not alone. And there are other people, and it's great. It's interesting. And I think it's growing. I think the community is definitely growing.
Yes, I believe it is too. I actually saw something, and it's funny because I started following this guy today. He showed up on my Facebook page with Michael Rood. If you know who he is, he shared this guy. He's like this young guy. He's a pastor, but he started out in mainstream Christianity, and started realizing what Passover was all about, and how deep and how rich Passover is. And now he has a congregation on Saturday, morning, afternoon. And so I didn't reach out to him. I just friended him on Facebook, but I thought, what a neat guy. I mean, he was sitting there talking about Passover and how much it meant to him, and how when he came to learn about Passover, he realized how much he was missing.
Yeah. I think Passover is probably, if you're a Christian, it's usually the first thing you're exposed to, because I don't know. I think it's the easiest one to see Yeshua in it. And I think it's common, even in the 70s, Jews for Jesus would make their rounds at churches and do Passovers. And that's what I was exposed to. Yeah. So once you kind of see that, then you're like, wow, what else? What else is there? And there's a lot. There's a bunch. Okay, I have one more question, because I got to ask how you handle this. Now, New Year just actually started.
Yeah.
And do you restart the Parsha readings, or do you wait until Passover?
I actually don't, I don't actually stick to a schedule, I should
Okay.
say.
Okay.
Yeah, I know, but when we were, like, when I was actually teaching in a congregation, we did kind of follow the schedule, and we changed in October whenever, Rosh Hashanah was. But even though we knew, it was just when the traditional schedule changed. So
yeah.
that's what we kind of stuck with. But yeah, so I don't kind of go by a schedule anymore. I mean, honestly, I love diving in and doing what we're doing with Romans, and what we did with Hebrews and Proverbs and Galatians. I mean, and Lauren knows this, but I teach a women's class on Sunday night. We're doing Romans, and we've almost caught up with this class because we do one chapter a week, which she and I don't here because we like to really dive deep. But and not that we don't in the other class, don't get me wrong, but we try to about an hour and 15 minutes. Sometimes we go just teaching on Romans each chapter, and doing it twice like this back to back. I mean,
I bet you're really getting some good stuff.
Oh yeah. It's just like, wow.
Yeah.
Hebrews was always my favorite book, and now it's like, oh, I love Romans.
I've enjoyed it. It's always, Romans has been intimidating to me in the past because Paul is not an easy person. But after, I think Galatians was a good one to start with, and the teaching that I got on Galatians through it's Acts. I can't remember what it was called, the program. It's a website.
Yes, it was ACTS. That was an acronym.
Yeah. Good teaching.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, and that kind of like, okay, he's not so bad after all. And then this has been very good. Like my mom even called and asked, how do I answer these certain questions? How do I answer certain questions? Because she's involved in other studies, and women are, asking questions. She's like, funny you should ask. I'm studying Romans right now. So she calls me and she's like, okay, I just want to confirm this before, I give my answer. And I'm like, this was a great exercise of actually going through and answering these questions, pulling out the scripture and really understand what Paul is saying in Romans. You're like, okay, this applies. This answers that question. So I think taking 6 months to study a book is okay.
It is. I think it's excellent, because I learned so much. And I was trying to find this author that Will Turner introduced me to online. And of course, now I can't find him, but he has commentaries. He's a Messianic, and he has commentaries on a lot of the New Testament books. And he has one on Ephesians, and then he has, and I would love to get that because I have studied Ephesians very deeply, but it was before I came into Torah. So now I want to study it with the understanding, because even now, I hear other people read, and when he says we and that you, he's not talking about we as in all believers. He's talking about we as in Jews. And then he's talking you as in Gentiles, that you've been brought in. And I can't unsee that now that I've learned that.
I agree.
And so I can't see it as Christians and non-Christians. It's Jews and Gentiles.
Yeah.
But the Gentiles are being brought in, but Paul's bringing them in himself. God already had, obviously, through Yeshua, but he himself is making a distinction, not to be dividing, but to show how they've been brought in and grafted in. So I think it's just, I want to study more. So right now I've hit I got this book in which I got this book instead of those commentaries because this is the next book we're going to work on.
That's right. That's right.
This is The Priestly Garments, Who We Are in Messiah. And it's by Jeff Brannon, I'm sorry, I said Brannon. And it is a kind of a large print. book. So, and the chapters are short, so it won't be like Romans. We'll get through it more quickly. But the chapters go into the different garments and what they mean in Messiah.
I think that's neat.
So yeah, so like there's actually 15 chapters in here, but they're very short chapters. So we would probably do 2 or 3 at a time.
That's great.
But we're going to have this author on too. So I've already kind of reached out to him and made sure he would be willing to be on here. So
that's right. Yeah. All right. We do have a loose plan.
We do.
All right. I guess we should go back to Romans. We got all the way up to Romans 9. 12:9, Romans 12:9. We're almost done with chapter 12. We'll finish up chapter 12 today. Hopefully start a little bit, at least make the introduction for 13. 13 is a short chapter. So
we're really hoping we can get through that in one setting. One class.
Maybe. And Stephanie did look ahead, and 16 is goodbyes and salutations to everyone. So maybe we can get through that one quick too. So we're
so maybe we just have a few more weeks instead of 6 weeks.
Look how much we've studied. I have so many stickers, and
I know.
My poor boy.
I have so many highlights. Yeah. But last week was great, and I encourage you to go back. I don't know about, I know you feel the same way I do, but if you like understanding the gifts of the Holy Spirit, and chapter 12 begins with all of that, and the first 8 chapters talks about that, and we talked about it from a Hebraic point of view, because like we think of exaltation, but in Hebrew it was more like a counselor. And the office of the teacher was purely about teaching God's word and fulfilling the law of Moses by teaching it to others. And we talked about all of those, prophecy, and like mercy is not an office, so to speak, but he talks about, it was a highly revered character trait for all believers.
Yes.
So he talks about all of them in of course we're using this commentary by Torah class. So it was really good, and I learned a lot myself from all of that.
I did too. And even I think the biggest takeaway for me, even for giving, it said the gift of giving, pretty straightforward, but it's always in support of the temple or the synagogue. So I thought that was interesting. We do a lot, we give today, and tithes is a whole nother conversation. There's no tithing in the New Testament, but it's used all the time in the New Testament church. That's the only time they like the Old Testament, is when they're going to talk about tithing.
And tithing wasn't money always.
Yeah.
They had places in the temple where you could drop coins, but it was more about offering the first fruits. It was offering what you grew, what you made, and all of that.
Right. In support of the temple or the synagogue, which I think is important. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then prophecy most often means discerning and explaining scripture. And when I was thinking about this, actually, I was thinking about all these in bed last night. I don't know why, but they were coming to my mind. And I thought, one of the things that is most eye-opening to me is that don't assume a leader, just because someone is in leadership, that they have the gift of discernment.
Yes. Or
because
teaching,
it goes with
prophecy.
A prophet.
Yes.
And it doesn't go with a pastor necessarily. And it doesn't just go with every teacher. So I am out often. It's funny because my husband and I both have the gift of discernment, and often we just kind of sit back and look at other people and the decisions they're making, and it's like, why are they doing that? Don't they see this? And so we often see things very, very much the same. And even if the Lord tells me something, and I've had that happen. Like, it's like, why are you telling me this? I don't need to know. Do I really need to know this about that person? But I get these, sometimes, and just something drops in my spirit about somebody, and why I shouldn't trust them, or what's going on, So I think discernment. Don't just assume everybody has it, because
I agree. And don't assume every pastor has the gift of teaching or prophecy. That's not always
because the case. Some are actually shepherds, which is a good thing, and
which is a good thing. Yeah,
but they're shepherds. They're out. They help people. They guide them. They bring them in. They encourage them, but they're not necessarily teachers. And so so these gifts, and not everybody who calls themselves is a teacher is a teacher.
That's true.
Yes.
All right. Romans 12:9.
Yes.
I do not have another Bible in front of me here.
I can read that.
Okay. I don't mind reading it out of the book, but the 6, 7.
You just want to read out of the book then?
Go ahead. I don't mind. 6, 7, and 8. We're just wrapping up the different gifts that were mentioned. So Romans 12:9, it says, don't let love be a mere outward show. Recoil from what is evil and cling to what is good. And he talks a lot about this evil and good, evil and good, evil and good.
And for the rest of the chapter, it's more or less just common sense things for believers. If you want to say common sense, may not all be common sense for every person.
Right.
But I like the way the ESV puts it. Let love be genuine, abhor what is evil, hold fast to what is good. And I think that is common sense for a believer, but yet remember that in the last days, people will call evil good and good evil. So, you have to make sure you have the right definitions.
That's right. He does talk a little bit about the heart. And I think we might have mentioned this real quick last week. But in the Jewish mind, there's a big difference between the heart and the mind. And especially in the ancient Near East, the heart was actually considered the seat of intellect. Not emotion, not so much emotion, but your decisions and your discernment, all of that was done from your heart, not from your mind. And so when it talks about, love being an outward showing and to recoil from what is evil and cling to what's good, it would have been your heart that would have made that decision of what is good and what is not good.
And I think even like what it says here, because we think of love and hate so much differently than they thought in the days of Paul, the days of Yeshua.
That's important.
So it says, first and foremost, love means a wholehearted acceptance. When you love someone, you accept them. That should open all of our eyes.
It should. Right? Yeah.
But hate means rejection.
Complete rejection.
So when you're rejecting people, biblically, you are hating them. And that is why the world sees us as haters.
I think it's important to, I know we've said this before, but there's no Hebrew word for doubt that's used in the Bible. It's either a yes is yes or no is no. And it's based on exactly what we're talking about here. Because if you've said yes and I accept, then you've completely accepted. If you say no and rejected, then you hate it and you're turning away from it. So it's that same, idea and philosophy and practice. So,
and let me just take it one step farther for what I said, because I don't want people saying that we accept all sin.
Yeah.
But what we do is we love the person. We don't reject the person. And I know that we all hear that love the sinner or hate the sin, but that still comes across as hate to most people.
It does.
So it's, I'm not saying you just like, a child molester, you love them and accept them as everything they are. No, you try to teach them better. You try to show them their way is sinful. Their way is immoral. Their way is against everything God is.
Right.
So, but at the same time, not totally rejecting them either. I know it's a fine line. Probably it's a difficult, the worse people are, it's harder, but there has to be discernment.
Here we go again. Anything else on 322 and 323?
I know he just says like there's a first and foremost, and I read that one. Second, love is a complete devotion to a person, an idea, a God, or perhaps a way of life.
Right.
Hate is a complete disregard and aversion towards a person, idea, God, or way of life. And then thirdly, as biblically defined love and hate, intrinsically involve action.
And that's important, especially in this ancient Near East thinking and the Jewish thinking. Like, a word isn't heard and understood and obeyed until you've got the action behind it, because nouns are actually verbs.
Yeah, and it's like love and hate are not primarily about emotion.
Yes. And that's important too, because in just a little bit, we're going to talk a little bit about shame and being ashamed. We've talked about this on our show before. It's emotions that we as Westerners are attaching to things, but biblical times, it was very much handled a little differently.
And even someone, I've been doing my podcast, so I've been interviewing a lot of people, and I actually learn, well, I think that we're going to talk about this, and then the Lord takes it a different direction, and it's like, oh, we're going to talk about this. But it's good. It's always good. But one of my guests brought up the fact that when we say name, we're actually, what we should be honestly understanding is when we say God's name, like we're actually talking about his character. So when it's when we call on Yeshua, when we call on Yehovah or Yahweh, we're when we attach our name to his, we should be attaching our character to his. And that means that his character should be reflecting out of us.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So that character is what we're latching on to. That's what we're bound to. And that character needs to come out of us, not just like, well, this is just my personality. No, when we are praying in his name, when we are calling out for his name and everything else, we're calling out for his character.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's a good one.
So
good. Okay. Let's see. I'm turning the page. I'm on 324.
Okay.
Let's see. What does it mean, biblically speaking, or to cling to what is good? And basically, in Paul's time, it would have been Torah. It would have been the law of Moses. It is Torah that sets down the standard of good for the entire world. And I've actually used that kind of thinking, when people, when I'm talking to Christians, I'm like, well, what do you determine what is good? What do you use to determine what is good? What's the standard for you? How do you know if you've sinned? What tells you what you've done as a sin? So
exactly.
Yeah. So have used that before.
Yeah. And the same thing, where does the definition of food come from that Yeshua and Paul use?
Yeah. Same.
It comes from Leviticus 11. So the New Testament wasn't around.
Right.
They were, New Testament was written about these men and from these men. I mean, obviously not Yeshua, but that didn't come for a few hundred years. And so when they wrote about food, it was based on the scrolls they had, the Torah they had, and the definition of food and everything else for that matter. Love, like you said, heart, all those definitions that they talk about, the definitions come from the Old Testament.
Right. That's right. I want to read this because this one was like, that hurts, I mean, like, you got to check yourself with this one. It's a fine thing to mentally agree with God's definition of good and that these principles should be obeyed. It's another to act it out, especially around others who do not walk with the Lord, who do not take their faith as seriously as you do. And it's a little convicting for me because I have always been, because we mingle within a lot of, church Christians, they don't eat the way I eat. And if I'm at their house, I'll just be quiet and just eat what's given to me. I'm just, if I can pick it off or something, I will. But usually if I'm at somebody's house and this is what they've prepared for me, I'll just shut up and be polite. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it anymore.
When I went to my nephew's funeral this past weekend, everything was pork, just about. Even if it was a salad, it was covered with bacon. Green beans covered with bacon, and then they had ham, and I'm just like, oh my gosh. Yeah. And so
give me the salad.
Well, even the salad was covered in bacon. So I dig down to the bottom of the salad and and I'm sure people noticed, And yeah, and even my, because a lot of my family was there who do not care, and so they're like, "So did you make sure you got around all the pork?" And I'm like, "Yep, I did.
Did what I could. Yep, thank you.
And I didn't eat what I couldn't. I didn't eat it."
Yeah,
So.
I've tried to be accommodating and, live in peace when you can, all that, but I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? No, because if this is the stand that I am taking and the boundaries that I believe in, then I'm going to live that. And what kind of Christian or believer would I be if I wavered on some of those things? So,
and it will make them ask, like, "Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know. Why don't you eat pork?" And that's the
nobody
first
asked.
time we rejected pork in a church setting, a Sunday
Yeah.
morning church setting. Right away, the question started because we weren't going to eat the pork. And, so they're going to follow. Those questions are going to follow. So it's being prepared, right?
I'm going to read the rest of this little section
Sure.
at the bottom because I think it applies. Therefore, we must first mentally put ourselves subject to God's commandment regarding food and diet, and then we must put that decision into action. However, if we're not convinced in our conscience about eating biblically kosher, even though all believers should be, then to eat kosher anyways because our friends do so, that we can fit in with a certain religious group, or that we can look good, means that we're doing it for the wrong reasons. And that was a convicting statement for me. So
yeah, because it
I'm
says
not going to be nice anymore.
yeah, we're neither clinging nor recoiling.
Right.
We're
Right.
being hypercritical, or
Right.
sorry, I said that phonetically incorrect. Hypocritical.
Hypocritical. So. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, then Romans 12:10, love each other devotedly and with brotherly love, and set examples for each other in showing respect. And he made a great comment. This is basically something right out of Leviticus 19:18.
I know.
Don't take vengeance on or bear grudge against any of your people. Rather, love your neighbor as yourself. I am Adonai. And it's funny, you read that 12:10 and you don't even realize, unless you're paying attention, he's just quoting Torah. And I think that's good. I actually was listening to the Bema podcast. I've listened to them, and they had a gentleman on there, and he was going through 1 Corinthians, I believe, and he was talking about what Paul is saying, and he's like, he's reading it, and then he goes, and then Paul says, defines it by saying this, and he reads the next verse, and I'm like, that's Torah. He's just defining it with Torah. The guy didn't say that. He didn't recognize that.
Yeah,
all he's doing is defining Torah.
Yeah, there were some things I listened to, like I went specifically to see how they were going to explain a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I don't think he keeps the Sabbath, but I think that's the most Torah thing he does. And I'm not putting him down.
Right.
I just came to realize that not everything he teaches is
right. No, he was very much a Christian pastor, very much a Christian pastor.
Yeah.
So, but I thought, look at me, very similar to what you said earlier. Like, you're starting to recognize things, and you see patterns. You see how Paul is setting this up, and so I'm like, oh, he's doing the whole, here's your statement, and let me back it up with scripture. So I like that. I'm starting to recognize things.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is where we start hitting the everyday common sense kind of thing. So he says, love each other devotedly, love your neighbor as thyself. Don't be lazy. This is 12:11. Don't be lazy when hard work is needed, but serve the Lord with spiritual fervor. And so again,
I put a star here.
Did you? Why?
Well, the reason is, and I don't mean to sound, again, I know I can rant, and I'm not trying, but but I am not the type of person who can watch everyone work and sit there and ignore.
I agree. I'm like that. Yeah.
So, but there are plenty of people who can, and again, you know who you are. But when we first started this new congregation back in October, we started. It's great. People are humble. They're lovely. We really, really love it. And but what I noticed right away, there were three people working, and most of the time it was two. Every week to clean up, because every week we have an oneg, and every week it was two, maybe three people cleaning. And I watched that. I mean, I was brand new, and I watched that happening. And then finally I decided I need to do something about this, and I started helping. And of course they appreciated my help. But I finally said something to our pastor, and I said, do you realize that when I first started here, I told him the whole story.
Yeah.
The very next week he said, we need to help.
Good.
People need to help, and I think, like, when you're talking like 40, 50, 60 people, and you have, and then nobody is helping to clean up, and barely even, clean up after their own family. And I think that's wrong. That's just wrong to me.
Yeah.
And that is
you're not
lazy.
serving the Lord with a spiritual fervor.
Yeah. Help out, because you know what? It'll take less time.
It will.
There won't be as much for anybody to do when you help out.
Many
but we had people like
work.
just washing dishes, and we had people cleaning all the tables, like one person cleaning all the tables because somebody else was doing all the dishes.
Yeah.
And people just like picking up their cup, like, here, you can wash under it.
Yeah.
That's no.
Okay, let's do another one. 12:12, Romans 12:12. Rejoice in hope, be patient in troubles. Stephanie, be patient in troubles. And continue in steadfast prayer.
I didn't need to pray for people.
Don't pray for patience.
No, because then I have get more thrown at me. But and then he got like Matthew 10. Everyone will hate you because of me. Yes, I know. But whoever holds out to the end, I have both of these because he said Yeshua made two statements that no doubt Paul had in mind when he wrote these words.
Right. So even in writing that, he's referring even back to statements that Yeshua might have made in other scriptures. Yeah.
So whoever holds out to the end will be preserved from harm. And this, a lot of people use this verse incorrectly because it also actually says whoever endures to the end will be saved. And that is actually a verse that a lot of people use to talk against pre-trib type of rapture. Because what does this verse mean? Everybody who endures to what end? You know, so we have to consider all verses. And I think that's where a lot of times we take verses out of context, but we also take them out of context of other verses.
Yeah.
You can't deny when Paul says we uphold the law. The law is holy and good, and then say, Paul hated the law.
But we don't follow the law. Yeah, but don't follow it because Paul hates it. Yeah.
And somebody even used the verse where it says that the cardinal mind cannot obey the Torah, and they use that as a reason that we don't follow Torah. Okay, it says the cardinal mind. That is not the mind with the spirit. We can't
the carnal.
But they don't even know. You know, again, it does come from ignorance, and it's the same way that people will say things like, you know, I'll get a comment on something like, or somebody else, and we'll say, so does that mean you're, where are you sacrificing your sheep or your lambs?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, the Bible does have something to say about that. And Jesus is the lamb, and he took the place of all other sacrifices. So, you know, so don't be sarcastic when you're talking to people, like, you know, but anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I think it's cool when he talks about world, because world.
I know. I like that part too. Go for it. Go ahead. What did you enjoy about it?
Yeah. So when he's talking about, like, he also gives John 15, if the world hates you, he is not talking about, I mean, if I remember correctly, because it's been a while since I've read this part, but he's talking about, like the nations, and in this case, he was literally, because he was talking to Israelites, or he was talking to the tribes. He's talking about the nations, the Gentile nations. They will hate you.
Yeah.
And if the world hates you, understand that it hated me first.
Mm-hmm.
If you belong to the world would have loved its own if you did belong to the world.
Mm-hmm.
But because you do not belong to the world, on the contrary, I have picked you out of the world. Therefore, the world hates you. So
right.
he's like, Paul says our solution is to be steadfast in prayer so that we can rejoice in our hope. At the same time, we are patient in our troubles with the world.
Right.
And the source of hate from the world will come from two sources, individuals and governments.
That's right. I have the same thing underlined. I think on the other page, he's still kind of talking a little bit about it, because Romans 12:13, I'm just going to read that verse. We can talk a little bit. It says, share what you have with God's people, practice hospitality. And this is where he says, believers of our community are the top priority. Why? And I think I read this last week. Why is that? Because the world takes care of its own, and believers are no longer part of the world. The world does not and always will far outnumber us demographically and outstrip us in resources. And so not only does the world hate us, it outnumbers us, and we are to take care of our, circle the
our
wagon,
own community.
Yeah, we're supposed to be taking care of our community and supporting one another. And I don't know that we do that a lot. Yeah.
My well, let me just say, it's a family member. I won't say who, but a family member was concerned because they wanted to tithe, but they didn't know who to tithe to, and they go to a like pretty good sized church and realize like they don't really need my money, but I want to give it to God.
Right.
And so I had suggested giving it to another family member who just lost their son, my sister, that they actually did need some financial help, and they had to go fund me out. And I said, it is okay to give. And he goes, are you sure that qualifies as using my tithe? And I said,
read this.
Romans 12.
Yeah.
Share what you have with God's people and practice hospitality. I said, and he also tells us take care of the widows and the children.
Exactly.
That was who he told us to take care of. Now, not that they're either of those, but I said, it is okay, because the first thing, God didn't tell us to give to coffee funds. He didn't tell us to build libraries in our churches. He didn't tell us to build kitchens.
Even a new building.
Yeah. And he told us to give to others, to help others. And that's what we're supposed to do. And he goes,
good.
Okay.
Good for them.
Yeah. I mean, I'll just say personally, we hold back. If there is somebody that we can help, I will give it to that situation first, or that person, or that family, or whatever, before I give it to a church fund.
That's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
I think that's what we're supposed to do. So
I think so. Yeah. He makes reference to also Luke 6:27. So this is, we're hearing this again and again. Nevertheless, to you who are listening, I say this: love your enemies, do good to those who hate you. So he has quoted from Matthew. He's quoted from John. He's quoted from Matthew again. He's quoted from Luke. He's quoting from Leviticus. He's like
all coming from
Leviticus.
And he even says back here, I didn't say anything, but it's like he at the bottom of 326, he says, I want to keep highlighting that most of what Paul issues is halakha. And he said it's a series of religious rulings for believers. So he is actually making a halakha for believers in Yeshua. Right.
Like, and if you're going to listen to halakha, because that was very prevalent at that time, he's like, all right, then let me give you a new one, that this is the one that you should be listening. Like let's really wrap it into Messiah instead of just what the Pharisees are saying. So I think it's good. All right. Romans 12:14-15. Look at us. Bless those, continuing more instruction. Bless those who persecute you. Bless them. Don't curse them. Rejoice with those who rejoice, and weep with those who weep. And he's kind of going into the whole give a fair hearing to the views of others within the communities to which we belong is kind of one of the comments about that.
And he quotes Ecclesiastes 3.
I thought that was interesting too.
Mm-hmm. A man should not rejoice when among people who weep, or weep when among people who rejoice.
Right.
Now, again, that's common sense. Like, yeah. So he should not stay awake among people who sleep, or sleep among those who are awake. Now, that can be difficult sometimes.
Yeah.
He should not be standing when all others are sitting, or sit when all others are standing. This is the general rule. A man should not deviate from the custom of his companions or from society. So it's not like he's not talking about the world.
Mm-hmm.
He's not talking about deviating from the world.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Within your community, he makes reference to that in the book a lot.
Yeah.
Within your community, within the community of believers, within your congregation, within
You walk into a service and everyone's weeping because someone just died. Don't go in ready to share all your good news. What happened to you this week? Right. They're weeping. Read the room. Mourning. Yeah. Right. So, keep it to yourself until there's a time to share that appropriate. And that's what he's talking about. And that's what Paul talks about a lot in other books, even Corinthians. He's talking about order and how we should do things. And some of it's common sense and some of it isn't. But yeah.
Okay. Romans 12, 16, 17. Again, another command, be sensitive to each other's needs. Don't think yourself better than others, but make humble people your friends. Don't be conceited. Repay no one evil for evil, but try to do what everyone regards as good.
And again, with the right people, again, he is talking about your community. He is talking about your congregation, those that believe like you. And he says that this is a traditional Jewish maxim. And it says, do not repay evil with evil. So in other words, don't seek revenge for a wrong done to you, because this violates the principle of loving your neighbor as yourself.
Right. Okay. It says the principle Paul introduces in his letters that the average believer thinks are being newly formed by Paul's words and thus belong exclusively to Christians and Messianic Judaism were neither new nor revolutionary as much as the Christian world assumes.
Yep.
So, yeah.
He's reminding the Jews of the dysphoria, of the long-held bedrock principles of Judaism. At the same moment, he's introducing these principles to Gentiles.
So you hear a lot, people will throw, well, Jesus says, love your neighbors. And Jesus says, don't repent. Yes, Jesus said that because that was the Jewish tradition. That was the custom. It
was a Jewish way.
Yes, that was the way. So I think that's kind of interesting. They want to turn it into, only Jesus, Jesus says, if you're going to be a Christian, you need to, okay, well, it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
All right.
And now you're going to read 18 through 20 and just remember, like most of this verse, what does it come from? Why am I not seeing it? It comes from the Tanakh. Where is it? But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm trying to look for the reference to it as well.
Yeah, I don't see it. He says the Tanakh, but why?
Okay. I'm going to read it, see if you can find it.
Yeah, why don't I see this?
It's not referenced.
Yeah.
Romans 12, 16 through 17. Look in your Bible and see if there's a footnote because it's bolded. It's obviously from scripture.
Yeah.
Okay. So Romans 12, Romans 12, 18 through 20. So if possible, we're continuing on, evil for evil, don't repay evil for evil. If possible, and to the extent that it depends on you, live in peace with all people. Never seek revenge, my friends. Instead, leave that to God's anger. For in the Tanakh, it is written, Adonai says, vengeance is my responsibility, or vengeance is mine. I will repay. On the contrary, if your enemy is hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him something to drink. For by doing this, you will heap fiery coals of shame on his head. And this is where we kind of take a turn. He's been leading into this, but this is where the commentator really begins to talk about the shame versus guilt. In the ancient Near East, they were a community, and tribal was more important than the individual. And so we've talked about this in some of the other books that we've read, that it was more important. Like, there's a difference between shame and being unshamed, right? Yes. Shame was something that affected your social status. It affected how your entire community was viewed. Ashamed usually indicates some kind of guilt. It's a feeling, and you feel bad about it because you're guilty of something. So this is where he's saying, don't repay. Allow God to get the vengeance. And by doing this, you'll heap fiery coals of shame on his head. And so by not, and even where it says, if he hits one cheek, turn the other cheek.
Oh, I love that part.
Yeah, that whole section
is about shame. It's not about violence.
Exactly.
It's not just because somebody hits you. It's because they hit you because it was to produce shame. It was shaming you.
Yes. Yeah.
So he's not telling you not to defend yourself.
Defend yourself or go to war or anything like that. None of that. It's not any of that. Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, if somebody shames you, just turn the other cheek.
Yeah.
Shame is just, it's not violence. Yeah. It doesn't feel good, but it's not violence.
Right.
So it's not criminal.
It doesn't mean that when our aggressor nation threatens or attacks us, that we don't defend ourselves.
Right.
And if we have to go to war, we should not play to win. Like, we're not being passive in this. Like, we should, God told the Israelites to take them out when he took the land. So there's a reason for that. Do not misunderstand.
We can turn around and be violent with someone else.
Yes.
I mean, look at road rage. Look at road rage. How quickly something escalates. You cut in front of somebody accidentally. Like, when I first got my car, it was very hard to see. I had so many blind spots, and it took me so long to get used to that. And we actually had to take out some of the seat headrests in some of the back seats because it was like there were so many blind spots, and I could go on. But anyway, I'm serious. I even had other people try to help me see, and they're like, and I'm like, oh no, there is a car. And she's like, I didn't see that car. But it's difficult. And so anyway, but in such a situation like that, you could pull out in front of someone, or you could even come over into their lane, not realizing they're there. There are reasons why things happen like this, but sometimes you're just met with an angry, finger or an angry word, a cuss, calling you names because you made a mistake.
Right. I've got a couple little quotes I think very much apply to what you just said, Stephanie. It says, but do not misunderstand, criminal justice on earth administered by human government is expected by God. And that is one of the reasons he created nations and installed the government. And so we have to remember that the governments and our leaders are installed by God. But there's another one further down. It says, in Paul's era, avenging a family member or yourself was not only common practice, it was assumed. In fact, because most of the world operated in a shame-honor society to some degree, to be wronged not only produced harm, it also produced shame. And he made a comment, I hope we get to it. We've got to finish this chapter today.
Yeah, we do.
But he makes a comment
we'll get done.
Most of the world, even today, America is very individual, but most of the world operates on a shame honor system. Even
Eastern
China,
culture.
Asia, all of the Middle East,
Japan.
all of that. So that's a huge chunk of the world. And even within, South America with Latinos and, because I had to learn this as a teacher, if you have a Latino student, don't say, look at me, look at my eyes, look at me. Cause that's shameful for them. That's how, to respect is to not look at you.
Respect.
Yes. So, that's
and it says, yeah, absolutely. And that's that's probably just our fault because we want people, we see everything through our Western eyes.
We do.
It says a slap on the face would almost certainly, I don't know if you read this, but I didn't hear you read it. A slap in the face would almost certainly result in the person who got slapped seeking revenge, and sometimes to the point of death. They would kill someone who shamed them. So Yeshua is speaking like, do not do that. You killing them is not worth the slap you got on your face. So just turn your cheek if that's what it takes. Don't go that far. And I even thought this whole peacemaker, and let me see where we are. When you started reading 12:18 through 20, I have at the top peacemakers versus peacekeepers. Peacekeepers don't want any kind of conflict. And for many, many years, that's what my MO was. It was just like, I just needed to keep peace. But peacemakers acknowledge conflict and don't try to stop the conflict, just try to make peace despite the conflict. Try to work it out, even though someone might get mad that you're trying to work it out. But peacekeeping is being a people pleaser. I'm not going to make you mad anymore. I'll just do what you say.
That's different.
So there's a difference between peacemaking and peacekeeping.
I've turned the page. I'm on 332. He makes a good point here. It says Paul's not talking about criminal activity, but rather the cultural problem of shame and honor and how to restore lost honor. Paul's solution, this is just what Stephanie was saying, is to allow God to make the determination about what kind of revenge, if any, ought to be exacted on that person who caused you to lose your honor in the eyes of your peer. He also makes the statement here, we're different because our honor doesn't come from society. Our honor comes from how the Father believes in us and looks at us and honors us and that kind of thing. So same thing, 12:21 says, do not be conquered by evil, but conquer evil with good. So that's like his final exact information.
And I'll read this because I highlighted it. I highlighted the whole paragraph, but there was one part here. To be conquered by evil means for us to give in to our evil inclinations. That's like our flesh.
And Paul's talked about that. Like he's been going over that.
This will result in our burning desire for revenge. I mean, I've said this. I mean, my husband and I are in the middle of a lawsuit, and it's it's just sometimes looks worse than other days. And but like our evil inclinations would say, how can we get back at them for all that they've been doing? But that's not the way, because what the Lord just says, I've got it. I'm going to take care of you. And we don't know what that's going to look like. It may not look like what I think taking care of us means, but in his way, he's going to take care of us. So, we don't know the outcome, but there's always people, think about somebody who's lied about you. You want to get back at them. And that's what he's telling us, and when we give into that evil inclination, our burning desire for revenge controls us. So.
I picked up the bottom line is that the best way to bring people into a relationship with Yeshua is through love, mutual respect, and to determine never to exact revenge on someone who has offended you. To be conquered by evil means that you give in to your evil inclination. Just what you read, exactly what you read. So, we finished chapter 12. Look at us.
I know we did it.
Yeah, we did it. Is there
we have 13, 14, 15, 16?
Yeah. And 13 is
really short. And
13 is not really long. I think we're going to be doing 13 in one chunk. So.
We're going to try.
Yeah,
It's really not many pages, so we should be able to do it. It's actually not that many pages in the book. So, so we'll just
I'm looking too.
We'll both read.
Oh, it's 12 verses. We just did 12 verses today. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. So we actually did a little more. We did 9 through 21.
Yeah.
So we can do 12 verses.
We can. We're going to have to stick to it. All right. Show them the book again and see the new book. So I'm
interested in following it.
I'm thinking by the end of April,
Yeah,
I think.
definitely.
A couple of
If not
weeks.
before that, because we're also going to have him as a guest.
Right.
So, so please tune in for that Jeff Brannon and the priestly garments and who we are in Messiah. So he goes through the garments to show us how those garments tie us.
I think
to
you're going to
Messiah.
love that because I think it'll definitely relate to so much in Hebrews. Have you looked through it? I haven't looked through it yet.
I looked through the tape. There's pictures in here. There's actually
are there
pictures? Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, some are color. Some are color pictures.
I haven't looked at mine. I need to look at it.
Yeah. So he does have the clothing on here.
He has a second one that goes with that, and it talks about the priestly service.
And this is their undergarments, much different than we think of undergarments. Oh, it went all the way up to their ribs.
I would not have known that.
Yeah. So there we go. There's pictures, nothing bad, of course, but just pictures.
Good.
Drawings and everything. Yeah, so I think it'll be good. Oh, and then even little bells on the bottom of the robe. He's got a picture of that.
And the purpose for that too. That'll be good. Mm-hmm. Okay. What are you doing for Pesach?
Our congregation is having a dinner.
Okay, I think you told me that. Okay, do you clean everything out for unleavened bread? How do you follow?
We try. We eat a lot of gluten-free. So my husband makes bread every once in a while, and I'm gonna have to tell him, like, if you're gonna
make bread this week, knock off the bread. Yeah,
we don't have bread. You might not start it now because you like sourdough. So but so anyway, so most of the time it's not a problem. But I did, we're running out of time. But yeah,
we're okay. We have about a minute. Yeah.
So I did the Daniel fast, and I gave up all that kind of stuff. And so some stuff I didn't incorporate back into my daily, eating.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I have gluten issues because of Hashimoto's, but the rest of the family does not. So even if I can just clean it up and get it out.
It's hard when you have other family. So you do the best you can.
Do the best I can. I definitely clean out the refrigerator and pantry as best I can. So
and this is the second year where we didn't have kids living in our home. So.
I have littles. I have a grandson that lives with me full time. Yeah. So all right. Well, thank you, and we will see you guys next week. We're going to be doing chapter 13. We're going to promise to hopefully get through the whole thing. So thanks for joining us this evening.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And you know what? I forgot to get in. Shabbat Shalom. Thank you. If you missed today's show and want to watch it again or want to tell someone where they can watch this episode, go to lambnetwork.tv, where you will find this show and all of the other live Lamb show archives on the on-demand section of the website. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to tell someone about the Messianic Lamb Network.
We are richly blessed to bring you what we believe is the fullest, most diverse, yet up-to-date progressive teachings, discussions, and prayer programming you can find anywhere on this planet. Be sure to take the tour of the lambnetwork.tv website. I'm Stephanie Pavlantos, thanking you for joining us on the Messianic Lamb Video Network.